All right, Blake. Well, thanks for joining me this morning. And let me start by first off congratulating you on Wake Forest because that's really, really awesome. I'm sure your family's super proud of you. I'm sure you feel pretty relieved to get the process finished because I know it can be stressful. And let's start with that process. How'd you come about Wake Forest? How did you start to figure out that, hey, this might be the school that's best fit for me? Obviously, you still have another semester at CBA, so we're not rushing you out the door. But tell us a little bit about how the process went and how it came to be that Wake Forest was your pick.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. Um, for me, the search process wasn't all too difficult. I actually didn't even know about Wake Forest. My first initial list of schools, I had a bunch of different schools that I was interested in based on like people I knew that were going there or just having like a reputation in sports. But I was talking to Mr. Leonardo over the summer and he told me about Wake Forest. And at first I knew nothing about it, but once I did a little bit of research, I kind of saw like almost a larger CBA in Wake Forest. Obviously it's co-ed, which is different from CBA, but going to Wake Forest, I realized that like at Wake Forest, they kind of prioritize building that sort of community that CBA is very proud of. And that sort of brotherhood, I wanted to kind of transition into Wake Forest. I love the ACC conference in general. I always grew up watching like Duke, UNC basketball, all that kind of stuff. So being able to see those guys play sports through Wake Forest is obviously a great opportunity for me. And some of the careers I was interested in, I saw that I was able to pursue at Wake Forest. Sorry about that.
No problem. Um, Great. So let's use a little bit of what you said there. You said you saw Wake Forest as kind of a bigger CBA, kind of the next step in that same kind of feel. How did CBA in general set you up to be confident in this decision? Because it's a big decision. I mean, I remember going through it myself. We every year we have a bunch of seniors who kind of agonize about the decision because it is that big of a decision. Why did CBA set you up to be confident that you're going to succeed and in your career at Wake Forest?
Well, first of all, one of the most important things that I took into account was I actually still talk to my guru from when I was a freshman. He was a senior. And what he always tells me is that when he went to college, college seemed almost just as easy as CBA was. And that he said that that was most definitely because CBA prepared him to the best of their ability. So I felt that going into Wake Forest, I felt that I would be able to transition that academic grind and staying up late to do homework and then seeing the recognition in the end and being able to translate that to Wake Forest was kind of reassuring, knowing that several kids that I talked to that went to college felt that CBA definitely prepared them for it. So I felt that I'd be able to carry that same attitude.
Right. And we see that every year with kids coming from CBA. Again, I'm an alumnus myself. You go to college and you feel like, you may have some friends at college who are stressing out over papers or tests, but you're going to be confident. And I'm confident that you specifically are going to be set up well. And it's not going to be as big of a transition as it might be for some students who've gone to other schools. But talk a little bit about academic challenges at CBA because that's going to be what makes you feel confident when you get to college. Those academic challenges you found at CBA that are going to set you up to be successful when you take your college curriculum.
I think the biggest thing in college is like when you talk to people that you know that go to college, their biggest thing is exam week. Like the exams that they're taking and the studying that they prepare for their exams, their grade could be made or broke based on their exam grade. And I see that a lot at CBA as well. Studying for CBA exams almost, I feel like, kind of mirrors studying for college exams in the sense that obviously you've learned all the material leading up to this point, but it's about being able to translate all the material that you know into being able to take the test and show that you deserve the grade that you have for that semester. And I feel like in college, I'll be able to translate my CBA knowledge of grinding and staying up late to study for those exams to being able to do that in college as well.
Exactly. And I think that if one thing in this whole pandemic, you might actually want exams at this point because it would mean that the pandemic is over. But talk a little bit about, we talked about the academic challenges and how that's going to, give you confidence going forward, but talk about the personal maturity aspect of CBA, because you've been involved in a whole bunch of extracurricular activities. You've been a successful student in the classroom. How has your personal maturity evolved over the last 4 years where you are going to be, a more well-rounded person heading into college?
Yeah, so coming into CBA, as Mr. Meehan can attest, I might have had a couple run-ins with Mr. Meehan that were for the right or wrong reasons. And as I progressed throughout my CBA career, I realized that focusing on academics and focusing on the things that are actually important and that are going to get me through to the future were most important for me. So going into college and taking this next step in my life, I feel like I can kind of use that attitude and focusing on the things that I know are important and not focusing on the things that um, obviously might not help me for the future. However, extracurriculars are a big part of my life, like playing sports and clubs and stuff. So definitely when I get into college, I want to join a bunch of clubs and play some interborough basketball and stuff like that. But definitely just having that attitude is important.
Right. And it's a combination between having a positive attitude and then prioritizing, because that's kind of how, CBA sets you up. You got to prioritize here. You got to be able to balance the academics with the clubs, with the sports. And I know you're a soccer player, and, you got to balance that stuff and have that personal drive to be able to, organize yourself in a mature manner. But
Definitely.
talk about, I just mentioned you're a soccer player and you've been involved in a whole bunch of things here at CBA. Talk about how that aspect of CBA in terms of the extracurriculars and the athletics has led to this sense of brotherhood that you're going to carry along well past, your May graduation here at CBA.
Yeah. So when I did my online interview to get into Wake Forest, actually, the counselor at the end of our interview said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Honestly, I kind of just wanted to get your perspective," because he was from New Jersey. I said, "How do you think I can find Wake Forest as a home away from home?" And he described it kind of like CBA, that once you're a demon deacon, you'll always be one. And I felt that it was the same thing at CBA, that if you ran into somebody who went to CBA with you, you obviously, I mean, almost you can attest that some of your closest friends are probably from CBA now. So a lot of people that I know that graduate from CBA sense that brotherhood carrying into their future. And I felt like I was going to be able to do the same thing at Wake Forest.
And I think that's something you're going to be able to find, even just not from your classmates, like people who go to CBA. You could meet a guy from the 90s or the 80s, and you would pick up a conversation with that guy pretty seamlessly, because there's a very sense of continuality of CBA, the brotherhood. It's all very similar from decade to decade, which is obviously things change, but it's very cool that we have that kind of connection. Even though it might not be your direct classmate, it's going to be somebody who you're going to be able to talk to, you're going to be able to refer to. And I think you'll see as you become an alumnus, the network of alumni will expand, in terms of how much they could help you. So no, I think this is really great, Blake. I think you did an excellent job here at CBA. You still got one semester to go, so don't slack off too much. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And we'll be watching your basketball team hopefully get a little bit better down there at Wake Forest.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Blake.